Today's speaker is Bill Hoagland. He is a partner law firm of Hoagland, Fitzgerald, Smith, and Trey-Nitis in Alton. And today he's going to talk about the L15 levee project. We're going to watch a short video, and then he's going to talk a little before and after. So here's Bill Hoagland.
How many of you remember the L15 project? Anybody? Okay, we're going back to 1973. And what happened was, after the 73 flood, the Army Corps of Engineers in St. Louis decided that they were going to build a new levee. And this new levee was going to be on the St. Charles County side. On the peninsula, what we know is West Alton and where the two bridges are. Here's the bridge in Alton over to St. Louis County. This levee was going to go from St. Charles all the way down to the tip of the peninsula and back up past Orange to Sioux. It's going to be an industrial levee. That means more than a 100-year levee. We were quite surprised when we found out about that because the Corps of Engineers had never talked to anybody who were on this side of the river. And the reason they didn't was, at that time, their jurisdiction in St. Louis didn't extend over there, so they really weren't concerned. Once we found out about it, and actually Gordon Moore in Alton was the one that alerted everybody to it, they formed a group to begin stating some public protest to this project. He asked my wife, Annie, to kind of take the lead in getting people organized. One of the things she did was she got the Environmental Defense Fund involved. They did a film. I'm going to show you part of the film. I know we're a little limited on time here. The film actually runs 40 minutes. We're going to shut it off in 20 minutes when they stop talking about this levee. The narrator in this is Hugh Downs, so you'll recognize his voice. Flooding is going on. I mean, it's going on today. We got this river's been in flood for 2 months. Today, Iowa, 4 inches of rain. 1 person died, and it just keeps going on and on. We're going to continue to have issues involving levees, flooding, and so on. So I thought it would be helpful to take a look back at this film, which was made in 1974, 20 years before the '93 flood. Had this levee gone in, it would have topped your levee here, without a doubt. So let me roll it. The film's a little hokey because it's old, but I think it's excellent.
Nature will not change, and if you obstruct the natural waterway, nature is going to move that obstruction. You and I, even a small child, would know better than to block a natural waterway.
Drainage basins, made up by a network of streams swelled by spring rains and melting snow, create a flooding river which inundates the valley land, or floodplain, created by the meandering river throughout its life cycle.
That's the Mississippi.
This process, when unobstructed, deposits rich soil across the valley. Traditionally, this land has been best used for agriculture, as is the case with St. Charles County, a floodplain in the confluence of the Mississippi and Missouri rivers. Charles County is in the top 2% of food-producing areas in the U.S.
Well, this soil has been deposited here by the actions of the Missouri and Mississippi River over the last 10 to 20,000 years, and it's also subject to flooding. There was water on this piece of ground earlier this spring, but now it dried off. The farmer was able to get his crop in, and you can see that it's really looking good. This soil right in here does have a very high productivity rating. The crops such as soybeans here will really respond to the soil and moisture and good treatment, and we can expect yields of 40, 50 bushels per acre of soybeans on this type of ground.
And so the floods created the good land. But paradoxically, to protect their capital investments, houses and barns, the farmers built levees to keep the floods off the lands. In the spring of 1973, nearly every levee in St. Charles County failed. Farmer Herb Farley told us about the flood.
Looked like Niagara Falls. It looked like Niagara Falls all day long. As far as that goes, you could stand here with field glasses. Everyone that came in, they just couldn't understand how that water ran that long without breaking the levee. We had so much wind damage. See, the wave wash. The waves had probably washed a hole in it. And this is secondary levee. It broke when the water was actually going down. We never have a levee go out here from pushing out or anything, and they're overtopped and eats off the backside. It just kept eating down, eating away.
An aerial survey indicated that floods break the small farm levees and deposit harmful sand on the good land. Had there been no levees, the gradual rise of the flooding river would have spread slowly over the floodplain, enriching the bottomland soil. Broken levees can lead to another kind of damage when they create a demand for larger and stronger levees.
Our trouble down here is this. We haven't no uniform levee system. In plain words, say I would build a levee that would stand 36 feet. A neighbor isn't able or have the equipment to build, and he might build one for 34. So we need a uniform system, not an industrial levee. We need an agricultural levee, a uniform system.
As the demand for flood protection increases, levees are built higher and higher. The zoning and land usage of the floodplain change.
There's always land speculators that are planning on trying to make some money, and they see this nice, beautiful, flat land out here, and they think that this is a wonderful place to put a factory, and so they'll buy it up from some farmer who's getting too old to continue farming, and maybe doesn't have any family that he wants to pass his land on down to, and they'll buy it, and then they'll try to promote the use of it to some factory, or in the case of right outside St. Charles, there's been approximately 1,100 trailers built on some of this flood land. We do have planning and zoning in St. Charles County. It's like in a lot of other places. We have a lot of good people on the board, but they're always under pressures from developers, and there's always this thing of local communities wanting to get industry in for an increased tax base. This is probably one of the highest returns of land. You know, it's much greater to have 10 acres of trailers than there is to have 10 acres of corn as far as gross income.
South of St. Louis, Jefferson County tried to keep investments off the floodplain, but succumbed to developers' pressures and voted against floodplain zoning. When the floods came, hundreds of people fought to save their new houses, assisted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the National Guard, and the Coast Guard. Altogether, the Corps provided 6.5 million sandbags in the St. Louis area, and the cost of fighting the flood alone amounted to $12 million.
We asked all around, we asked neighbors, and we talked to the L.K. Woods, you know, representative that sold us the house. And he said there's never been a flood out here. And we really didn't think there would be. And I think a lot of this was, you know, it was just a freak accident that happened, you know. I don't think anybody really expected this to happen.